self-evident that there is nothing quite like Tigers baseball. Today, we celebrate America's independence and America's pastime. Old Glory and that old English D. The boys of Motown hope to have bombs bursting in air over Comerica Park. Grand slam home run! And give proof through the night they remain AL frontrunners. Detroiters know we have certain unalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of a World Series crown. It's the 4th of July, and the Tigers and Rays are up next on Fox Sports Detroit.
And we welcome you back to Comerica Park on a stunning night for baseball here in the Motor City as Drew Smyly takes the mound, getting the start tonight against the Rays. He is presented by Family Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Drew Smyly looking to get back on track here tonight against the Tampa Bay Rays. Only lasted 2 1/3 innings. His last outing against the Houston Astros left a lot of breaking balls up in the strike zone. That is not Drew Smyly. He's at his best when that breaking ball is getting buried at the bottom of the zone and he's locating that fastball in the low 90s.
And here is the lineup he will face tonight, presented by the Metro Detroit Chevy dealers. For the Rays, it'll be Jennings, Zobrist, and Geyer in the top 3. Longoria cleaning up. Logan Forsythe will get the start at second base. 5 consecutive multi-hit games for Forsythe. Loney at first. And a bottom 3 of Rodriguez, Molina, and Kevin Kiermaier.
Let's take a look at the Tigers starting defense presented by Beaumont Health System. In the outfield, they will line up exactly how they lined up yesterday. J.D. Martinez, Jackson Hunter. Don Kelly making his 9th start at third base this season. He's only made 1 error. Suarez, Kinsler up the middle. The big fella anchored over at first. That would be Miggy. And Alex Avila catching once again today.
So a special night here at the ballpark as we celebrate Independence Day. The Tigers and the Rays in Game 2 in this series. The Tigers won the opener in convincing fashion yesterday. And Desmond Jennings is standing in to get things started here this evening. It'll be Jennings, Zobrist, and then Brandon Geyer facing the lefty Drew Smyly. Smyly in search of his 5th win of his season, all set to go to work. And here's the first pitch of tonight's ball game. Jennings will look at a strike 0-1. Desmond Jennings last night 1 for 4. The Rays offense was really shut down by Max Scherzer. Just 2 hits last night. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Showing bunt, he pops it up foul, back out of play. 0-2. Smyly tonight making his 14th start, 17th appearance overall. Trying to keep the good string of starting pitching performances by the staff going. The Tigers have really turned things around pitching wise. And a ball up high, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Drew's got 3 pitches. He's got the fastball, he's got the curveball / slider, and he's got the changeup. Changeup, big pitch for him tonight against some of these right-handed batters. He's got to fade that pitch down and away from the righties.
Bouncing ball third base side. Don Kelly positioned there tonight, and 1 away. Easy ground ball chance to the left side of the infield. That'll bring up Ben Zobrist, batting in the 2 slot in this one tonight. Smyly's last start against the Astros resulting in a 2 1/3 performance, 8 hits, 4 runs. He was not feeling well that evening, or that day I should say, in Houston. Zobrist 0 for 4 last night, batting .250. 2-time All-Star. Is playing it short in this ball game tonight. And Smyly floats one in for a strike. 0-1. Checked it. They will appeal. He did not go.
Smyly a quick worker. Yeah, some of the Tampa Bay Rays hitters will take their time getting back in the batter's box tonight, trying to slow him down.
Drew ready with the 1-1 pitch. And Zobrist watches it bounce in. Zobrist has 6 home runs this year, but only 18 RBIs. Numbers are down this season. The on-base percentage, which is typically pretty good, is down as well this year. Now with the 2-1, Smiley brings it home, and it's swung on and missed. 2-2 on Ben Zobrist. Rays got a run in the first inning last night, but the Tigers responded immediately with 3 home runs in the bottom of the first and led 5-1 early. En route to the victory. Here's the 2-2. Swing and a miss. Down goes Zobrist.
After a good breaking ball down, you can get Zobrist to swing and miss at a fastball around the belt buckle if you don't make it too good of a pitch, and he's able to do that on a 92-mile-per-hour heater.
Smiley's my guy tonight for the Tigers Player of the Game, presented by McDonald's new triple cheeseburger for only $2.
Torrey Hunter's my guy. 5 hits last couple of days, 5 RBIs. All the RBIs after 2 were out.
And Shannon Hogan going with Alex Avila tonight. Those are our selections as a strike is called on Brandon Guyer. .269 batting average, but really good against lefties. .304, so he gets the start. Ball missing high. Matt Joyce, who started in left field last night, is batting just .091 against left-handed pitching, so Guyer gets the call this evening. He's been much better. We'll foul that one straight back, 1-2. Guyer spent all of last year at AAA Durham, hit .301. Waiting on a 1-2 pitch. And it's fouled back. Just got a piece of it. Evan Longoria waiting in the on-deck circle. These Rays have been bitten by the injury bug this year. They've got a couple of big pieces on the disabled list. Here's the 1-2 again. Fouled off again. We've got David DeJesus out. Jeremy Hellickson, fine starting pitcher, is out. Matt Moore is out.
Will Myers also out. He was Rookie of the Year last year in the American League.
Yeah, that's a big piece. And Yunel Escobar, he's out as well. So Joe Madden not playing with a full complement of players. 1-2 is chopped to third, foul.
Well, we made the comment last night when the starting lineups were announced. Who were some of these guys? Some of these guys we'd never heard of. But if anybody can get them to play, and Joe Madden can. Outstanding manager, outstanding motivator, and gets the most out of his 25-man roster.
Ball high, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Guyer batting here with 2 out, nobody on, just underway on the 4th of July here at Comerica Park. Here's the 2-2. So Guyer now is giving Smiley fits here.
Spectacular evening for baseball. About 78 degrees with no humidity.
As good as it gets, to be sure. Plenty of sunshine, clear skies. We expect that to continue the entire weekend, and it should be a big and fun weekend here. There's a pop-up, shallow right field. Kinsler going back and calling for it. Now he's going to be called off by Hunter, who makes the catch. 1-2-3 inning for Drew Smiley. 4th of July here from the ballpark tonight. Tigers and Rays in game 2 in this 4-game series. The Tigers will send Austin Jackson in that leadoff slot again here tonight. Here's their starting lineup presented by the Southeast Michigan Ford dealers. It looks like this. It'll be Jackson, Kinsler, and Cabrera in your top 3 spots. Last night, Miggy went off. He scored 4 times to the ball game. Victor Martinez, your DH. J.D. Martinez at left. Torrey Hunter is in right. Kelly Avila Suarez, your bottom 3. And they are facing the right-handed offerings of Alex Cobb.
Alex Cobb hoping that his offense scores him some more runs. He does not get a whole lot of run support. Hasn't gotten a lot this year. He's got a fastball that will get up to about 94 miles an hour. He's got a real good curveball, but a well above average changeup, which he throws 33% of the time. Tim Hortons will sponsor the defensive alignment for the Tampa Bay Rays. Geyer, Jennings, Kiermaier in the outfield. Zobrist, Forsythe up the middle. Longoria, Loney on the corners. Molina is the catcher. They've got an outstanding fielding team. They lead the American League with a .987 fielding percentage.
So here is Austin Jackson. The Tigers offense got off to a really quick start last night. Cobb's first pitch is low and away, 1-0. Jackson, Kinsler, and Cabrera facing the right-hander who goes 6'3", 200-pounder, born in Boston. 26 years of age. Here's the 1-0. Fouled back out of play, 1 ball and 1 strike.
Cobb's got a new delivery these days. He used to have a really clean delivery, very smooth delivery. Now he takes that front foot up and literally points it toward the Tigers dugout, and he pauses for a second before delivering the ball to home plate.
That would be the opposite of smooth.
Throwing it clearly across his body.
2 balls and 1 strike. Ian Kinsler waiting on deck. Jackson last night, a couple of hits and 5 at bats. That's in there for a strike, 2-2. Jackson's average now at .247. He's had 5 hits on the homestand.
Five hits in the last 2 days.
Here's the 2-2. Swing and a miss, and Jackson's out of there, 1 gone. First strike out of the ball game for Alex Cobb.
Cobb gets lots of swings and misses on his changeup. It's almost like a splitter. You can see his fingers are split. He calls it a changeup, but most people in baseball, they call it a split-fingered fastball, and he throws that pitch 33% of the time.
So here is Kinsler, who homered in his first at bat in last night's ball game. It was a 2-run shot, his 11th of the season. Got 45 RBIs now. Batting with 1 out, bases empty. Balled in, 1-0. There really aren't too many guys in the big leagues with this type of delivery, and I would imagine it gets, or takes a little getting used to.
Well, there's really nothing wrong with his delivery before he went to this particular delivery.
Here's the 1-0. Here's the strike, 1 ball, 1 strike.
Spent some time on the disabled list this year with a left side oblique injury.
Well, he missed about 6 weeks this season. Of course, he missed a lot of time last year as well with a very scary injury. That missed inside, 2 balls and 1 strike. Cobb was hit by a line drive off the bat of Eric Hosmer, square on the head, and survived that no problem. Really came back and pitched well after that injury. He's got Cabrera waiting on deck. Here's the 2-1. Swing and a miss. 2-2 on Kinsler.
Cobb began the season as the number 2 starter in the Rays rotation behind David Price. He was their number 5 starter back in 2013.
Really why the Rays were considered one of the favorites going into the season, with Price and Cobb and a lot of pitching depth that has been tested because of injury. And there's a base hit for Kinsler.
Let's take a peek at the new delivery of Alex Cobb these days. We're going to slow it down a little bit for you. He takes that front foot up and he points it clearly toward the Tigers dugout, and then has to basically throw across his body, but for him, he feels like he's getting himself in line, and Kinsler gets a fastball and hits it right back up the middle. Cobb does not have good numbers against righties. Righties came into play hitting .293 against him, where left-handers hitting below 200. That's because of that real good changeup slash split-fingered fastball that he throws.
Well, here's a pretty good right-handed batter. 3 hits in last night's ball game. 6 on the homestand now for Cabrera. And he looks at a ball inside, 1-0.
Miggy was on base 4 times yesterday.
It was the 5th time in his career that Cabrera has scored 4 runs in a game. Takes a deep breath as he settles back into the box. Kinsler at first. 9 stolen bases this year for Ian. And it catches the outside corner, 1-1. Cabrera now 67 RBIs. He's hit 14 home runs. Another packed house here at the ballpark tonight, celebrating the 4th of July. Got the big fireworks spectacular after this ball game is done. Kinsler gets back in on a quick throw to first. Here's Martinez waiting in the on-deck circle. Another snap throw, and Cobb didn't mess around on his pickoff throws, man. He lets it go.
There was a time where pitchers would not be all that concerned with a guy on first base with Miggy in the batter's box, because Jim Leland would never run in this particular situation and vacate first base for the opposing manager to walk Miguel. But with Victor Martinez behind him, no problem this year. If you walk Miggy, you've got to deal with Victor.
One is on the ground to third. High hop there for Longoria to second one, and plenty of time for the 5-4-3 double play. No runs, 1 hit, 1 man left as we celebrate the 4th of July here at Comerica Park. We are still scoreless. Baseball on Fox Sports Detroit is brought to you by Comerica Bank, a part of Detroit and the community since 1849. By Dean's Country Fresh Premium Ice Cream and Novelties. Share a pure moment. And by Chrysler. Back here at the ballpark on a glorious evening for baseball. Tigers and the Rays are scoreless as we go to the top of the second. Drew Smyly back to work, and he will face 4, 5, and 6 in the Rays lineup. Evan Longoria leads it off, and he looks at ball one outside. Longoria, Forsythe, and Loney. 0 for 2 with an RBI last night for Longoria. That's .321 versus lefties, and he ropes one fair down the third base line. This will be extra bases as Longoria cruises into second. He's got himself a double. First scoring chance of the ball game.
Looked like a fastball down and in that Longoria got out in front of and hit his 13th double right past the diving Don Kelly.
First hit of the ball game for the Rays, and that'll bring up Logan Forsythe, getting the start at second base tonight. And Smyly delivers strike one in the outer edge. Forsythe has been hot, man. He's got a 5-game hitting streak, all of them multi-hit games. 11 for his last 21. Here's the 0-1. Foul straight back. No balls, 2 strikes on Forsythe.
Avila continues to call for the fastball inside from Smyly to some of the right-handers, but he really hasn't been able to get it in there. Made a mistake here on this fastball that leaked right back over the heart of the plate to Forsythe. If you're going to go in there, you got to get it in there.
Now Avila flashing the target, waiting on an 0-2. And he got him, strike 3. Forsythe unable to move the runner up. He's caught looking. It'll be the second strikeout of the ball game for Smyly.
In previous pitch, Smyly got away with a fastball that was right down the middle. Then he threw a breaking ball that stayed up in the strike zone, but buckled the knees of Forsythe.
1 on, 1 out. Here's James Loney. Solid numbers this year for Loney, batting .280, and he leads their ball club with 43 RBIs.
Loney, pretty good hitter against left-handers as well. They don't usually bother him, but Smyly, he's a different kind of left-hander this year, especially when he's locating that breaking ball where he located that last one to James Loney.
Lefties again, just 138 versus Smyly coming into this game. Drew trying to notch his 5th victory of the season. Here's the 0-1. High towering drive to center, playable though. Jackson backing up. Runner tagging, and Longoria gets to third ahead of the throw. 2 outs. And it'll take something now from Sean Rodriguez. Again, the importance of getting that runner to third with less than 2 outs. That fly ball probably scores him, and it's 1-0 Tampa.
Great point.
But Forsythe unable to do it. And now Smyly will face Sean Rodriguez. He's been hot as well. 7 RBIs in his last 7 games. All of his action this year has come against lefties. Swing and a miss, 0-1. Smyly has done some of his best work against the American League East. He's 5-0, and that includes starting and relieving, and his ERA is sub-2 against what typically have been some heavy offenses in the East. 1 ball, 1 strike on Sean Rodriguez. Longoria, the runner at third with 2 outs. Bounce again. Good block by Avila. 2-1. Eight home runs this year for Sean Rodriguez, serving as the DH tonight for the Tampa Bay Rays. Fouled straight back. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Rays came in with a 5-game winning streak that was snapped last night. They are still in last place in the American League East. Tigers cruising along. They've won 4 straight. Bouncing ball left side, deep in the hole, backhanded there by Suarez. Long throw is in time. Nice play by Suarez. No runs. A leadoff double is stranded by the Rays as we celebrate 4th of July here at Comerica Park. Lou Gehrig on the 75th anniversary of his iconic Luckiest Man speech. Please visit MLBcommunity.org to donate towards the fight of ALS, otherwise known as Lou Gehrig's disease. And of course, the Iron Horse was some kind of ball player before his career was cut short.
2-time American League MVP in 27 and 1936. He also won a Triple Crown.
17 seasons for Lou Gehrig. Here come the Tigers now as we go to the second. It'll be Victor Martinez, J.D. Martinez, and Torrey Hunter facing the right-handed offerings of Alex Cobb. Tigers got a single in the first, but a double play ball by Cabrera ended the threat. And Cobb missing outside to Victor.
And Victor got the start in last night's game against their starter, the left-hander Eric Bedard, and homered in his first action in 4 games in his first plate appearance.
He came to the ballpark today, and Brad Ausmus initially had him penciled in the lineup, but he did warn that he wanted to wait Victor to see if Victor could get through batting practice without any further pain. And so he said he might be a late scratch if he can't go, but he's in there.
Batting right-handed, absolutely no issue for Victor, but they had to wait and see batting left-handed.
That'll bounce in. 2 balls and 1 strike. J.D. Martinez waiting on deck. Just skied in the air to center. It's going to be playable, though. Desmond Jennings camping under it. And that is out number 1 here in the second. How about the Bernstein advantage tonight? Last 11 home games against the Rays. The Tigers certainly have had the Bernstein advantage here at Comerica Park.
They've held Tampa Bay to 4 or fewer runs in 10 of the 11 games.
We mentioned that Joe Madden has his team battling some injuries right now, but they have not been able to perform all that well in this ballpark. Here is J.D. Martinez. 2 more hits last night, 2 RBIs. J.D. looks at ball 1 high. Took a 92-mile-an-hour fastball. Five hits on the homestand as well for Martinez. And he shoots that one back up the middle into center field. Base hit. It's just been amazing to watch the entire month of June and now even here into July.
And really the one thing that he has really improved on, and that's keeping the barrel of the bat in the strike zone for a long time. He leads with the bottom the barrel of the bat, and then he gets it in the strike zone and hits that ball to right center field. He's got a great approach lately.
So the Tigers have their second hit of the game. That'll bring up Torrey Hunter, who's batting .260, and against Cobb, well, we've been able to light him up 6 for 13. A couple of RBIs and a double. Hunter back up to .260 now. He joined several other Tigers in double digits in homers with his 10th. Tigers jumping all over Eric Bedard last night in that first inning. They got homers from Kinsler, Victor Martinez, and Torrey in that first inning. 1 ball and no strikes on the Tigers right fielder. Snap throw down to first base. I mentioned Cobb last year was hit on that line drive after he missed a couple of months. He came back and really pitched well. We were not sure how he would perform after suffering such a horrific injury, but he came back and was 5-1 with a 2.41 down the stretch. And made it kind of look easy. Here's the 1-0. That's in the air towards center field. It'll be playable for Jennings. And there are 2 gone. Right now we check in with Shannon Hogan.
Well, guys, happy 4th of July to you and your families, and of course to everybody at home. The Tigers recognizing active military and veterans before the game today. They do that every year on 4th of July, and it was quite the scene before the game. Both active and veterans, military members, and their families right along the field, enjoying all the festivities before the game. Beautiful national anthem. They had a great first pitch, and the Tigers donating 1,500 tickets to those that have served the country and their families to be here tonight and celebrate our country and our freedom. So if you're at home and you're watching, thank you so much for watching us on Fox Sports Detroit, and thank you to all the men and women who have served our country. Guys?
Well, Shannon, thanks. What a great gesture by the Tigers. Good to see the veterans out at the ballpark here tonight enjoying Tigers baseball. Don Kelly, the batter, with 2 outs and a runner at first base. And Donnie shoots one to left field. That's going to drop. Base hit. Advance the runner to second now with 2 outs. 2 singles here in the inning for Detroit.
Don Kelly has not gotten a whole lot of playing time lately with the emergence of Nick Castellanos. Castellanos playing really well on both sides of the ball. Therefore, Don Kelly, like some of the other reserves, finding it difficult to get on the field.
Well, that's going to bring up Alex Avila. 2 on and 2 outs. Jose Molina walks out halfway to the mound to meet Cobb.
Jose Molina is 39 years young, still squatting behind home plate.
You know, it's one thing to be 39 and maybe DH, but to catch, that's pretty amazing.
Some folks get out of bed at age 39 and their bones ache.
Guilty. And I'm well beyond 39, but even back then. Bayamon, Puerto Rico, the oldest active catcher, Jose Molina. Avila 4 for 7 against Cobb in his career. And he fouls it straight back 0-1.
And Cobb will give you that first pitch fastball to get ahead of you, but then after that, it's a mixture of curveballs. It's a spike curveball that he features, and that devastating splitter as well. He will throw that once he's gotten ahead.
Avila batting .230, has Kelly at first. And he's got J.D. Martinez at second. Tigers have their best scoring opportunity early in this game. And Avila sends a ground ball to first. That'll end the threat. It's scooped up there by Loney to retire the side. No runs, 2 hits, 2 left for Detroit. Tigers baseball tonight, presented by Bill Tire.
What's up, Detroit? This is your Selfridge Air National Guard Base dedicated air crew reporting from Southwest Asia. We'd just like to say, Go Tigers!
Well, thank you, gentlemen, and a happy 4th of July to you and all of those watching in tonight. The Tigers and the Tampa Bay Rays here in Game 2 in the series on a gorgeous evening. And that little cutie enjoying a great night at the ballpark here tonight.
First 4th of July for that little cutie.
Well, let's make it a special one here with the victory against the Rays. Got that big fireworks show coming up after the game. Here come the Rays now. It'll be Jose Molina. It'll be Molina, Kiermaier, and Jennings facing lefty Drew Smiley, who pitched around a leadoff double by Longoria back in the second. Molina batting .173. Striking the outer edge. You know the story about the Molina brothers now. There are 3 of them that have played in the big leagues. Of course, Yadier still plays. So does Jose. And Benji is the first base coach for Texas.
All 3 have World Series rings, too. Yeah. They've all been champions.
And as the story goes, their father nightly after coming back from work would bring the kids out. And no matter how tired he was, would play with all 3 and sharpen their baseball skills. The 0-2 is swung out and missed. You get a piece, you got a piece. So Molina's still alive. No balls, 2 strikes.
Good breaking ball by Drew at the bottom of the zone.
Here's the 0-2. It'll bounce in again. 1 ball, 2 strikes. I guess to be fair, you would say that maybe the best of the 3 would probably be Yadier Molina. I think he's the most accomplished, isn't he?
I think he's probably the better of the 3. The youngest too, right?
The youngest, correct. 1-2 pitch. Soft line drive caught by Kinsler. 1 out, time for a game break now. Back to the studio we go. Trevor Thompson. All right, Trev, thanks. Here it is scoreless as we play in the 3rd. Still hard to kind of transition from somebody else saving games for the Yankees instead of Mariano Rivera.
Yep, Mariano Rivera, mainstay there for a couple decades nearly for the New York Yankees.
Kevin Kiermaier, the batter. Swing and a miss.
He will chase. He's very aggressive. 7 home runs for the rookie this year. Only 13 RBIs, however.
Now Drew ready with the 0-2. Kiermaier got a piece of that one to stay alive.
Probably too good of an 0-2 pitch there thrown by Smiley. Especially the way that Kiermaier would chase from a left-hander. You really got to expand the zone and make sure if he does get a hit, it's on a ball.
He would not chase there. 1-2.
Nice block by Avila.
Smiley has been really good. First 8 of the first 9, I should say, first pitch strikes. 8 of 9. Cobb, meanwhile, is just 2 of 8. But he's gotten a big double play ball. Here's the 1-2. And it missed outside. 2-2 on Kevin Kiermaier. Not too many seats to be had tonight at beautiful Comerica Park. Ball is in the air and hit well. Right center field. Jackson cruising over. 2 up, 2 down. Hey, this Sunday the Tigers face the Tampa Bay Rays at 8:07. Is Sunday Kids Day, and all kids 14 and under receive a Victor Martinez poster and enjoy free rides on the carousel and the Ferris wheel. Call 866-66-TIGER or visit tigers.com. So with 2 outs, Smiley will face once again the top of the order. Jessamine Jennings will stand in. Jennings bounced out to start the game. And he takes strike 1. Drew looking much more efficient here tonight than he did in his last start. Start against the Astros, in which he went 2 1/3 and gave up 8 hits. And that's a fair ball down the left field line, just out of the reach of Don Kelly. It'll go to the corner, and Jennings will have his 2nd double of the series.
Also the 2nd double of the evening for the Tampa Bay Rays. Longoria, he doubled back to start the 2nd inning. And no chance for Don Kelly.
Nothing rattled around the corner, and by the time it was brought back in, Jennings had a double. 2nd hit of the series. Now a 2-out chance for Ben Zobrist. He'll look at ball 1. Well, we've mentioned this last night, but when you get into the month of July, it begins to get fun because you start to hear names being bandied about in talks for trades, and Zobrist is one of those names, especially with the Rays struggling this year, even though they had played much better of late. Zobrist fouls it back 1-1, and he's a guy that can be valuable for a lot of different teams because he can play a lot of different positions.
He can play second, he can play the outfield, he can play shortstop, he can play third. He'd be a nice piece for a team with playoff aspirations.
Although his numbers are down this year.
Switch hitter as well. Change of scenery could do him good.
1 ball, 1 strike. He'll shoot that one down the right field line. That appears to be trouble, and it's fair and goes to the corner. Zobrist will get himself an RBI. He'll take the turn at second but stop. And a pair of 2-out doubles for the Rays.
And Drew Smyly was able to strike Zobrist out with his exact same pitch his first time up. It was a 92 mile per hour fastball he got him with his first time. This time he was waiting for him and whistling that ball down in the right field corner.
So the Rays make good on a 2-out threat. The double by Jennings, the double by Zobrist, and it's 1-0 Tampa Bay. 19th RBI of the year for Zobrist. Here's Brandon Guyer. He flied out his first time up. And Guyer takes ball one high. Each ball club now with 3 hits in the game. Two 2-0 the count. Guyer played his college ball at Virginia, and he played 1 season with Ryan Zimmerman there. Went to high school in the Virginia area as well. He's ahead of the count here. 2 balls, no strikes. Tipped into the glove for strike 1.
A lot of good players from the Virginia area. The Upton brothers, Justin Verlander. You mentioned Zimmerman.
There's a lot of them that have come through and played in the major leagues. Kadyr's one of them, isn't he?
Kadir.
He's had a nice long career. Here's the 2-1. Make it 2-2 now on Brandon Guyer.
A couple of fastballs at 91 right by Guyer.
That's an even 50 now for Smyly. 20 of them here in the third. After he had retired the first 2 batters. They've got Zobrist at second with 2 outs. And the 2-2. Line to right field, slicing. 2-2 the count stays. Guyer earlier this year had a 4-hit game against the Boston Red Sox, which tied a Rays rookie record. Fouls off another one to stay alive. 2-2 the count stays on Guyer. The Tigers have 2 more in this series against the Rays. Off day Monday, and the Dodgers will come to town. And the All-Star break rapidly approaching. We'll close out the first half in Kansas City, a 4-game series there.
I kind of like the fact that they give you 4 full days off now for the All-Star break. And Tigers will not resume play until Friday. And they're right here against the Cleveland Indians after the All-Star break.
Well, it's also good, Rod, that everybody gets the 4 full days off, because it didn't used to be that way.
Yeah, it wasn't good when some guys had 3 days off and then some teams had 4 days off.
Right now, Brad Ausmus has his team sitting in a pretty good spot. They came in 5 games up in the Central. Soft line drive, and caught on a mini leap there by Suarez to end the inning. Not before the Rays get back-to-back 2-out doubles. Jennings and Zobrist. Suarez, a little bit of a mini leap. On Fox Sports Detroit is brought to you by Arby's. Try Arby's new King's Hawaiian Roast Beef BLT today. And by Bell Tire. Get the lowest tire price, period. Bell Tire. Back here at the ballpark, Tigers down by a run now as we go to the bottom of the third here at Comerica. Rays get back-to-back doubles. Jennings and Zobrist. And now we'll see what the Tigers can do here against the right-hander Alex Cobb. Eugenio Suarez leads it off for Detroit, the number 9 hitter facing Cobb. And he looks at strike one in the outside corner. Suarez, then Jackson, and then Kinsler. Tigers have put together 3 hits. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Outside, 1 ball, 1 strike. Here's the 1-1. 1-2 on Suarez. Only a couple of hits on the homestand so far for Eugenio. He was 0 for 4 in last night's contest. Trying to get something started for Jackson waiting on deck. And the 1-2. Ball high, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Suarez continues to get the majority of reps at shortstop. Romine has started here and there, but it's been Suarez given the opportunity to see what he can do at this level. And he takes another one high. Run the count full now, 3-2. Swing and a miss. Cobb comes back to strike him out with a fastball right at the letters. 1 out here in the third, and tomorrow it's a full day of Major League action, beginning with the Diamondbacks taking on the Braves on Fox Sports 1. Then it's baseball night in America on Fox as Nelson Cruz and the Orioles take on the defending World Series champion Red Sox. Our Major League doubleheader begins Saturday at 3:30 Eastern on Fox Sports 1 and continues at 7 p.m. Eastern on Fox. Here's Jackson. Austin tried to bunt the breaking ball, unable to do it.
Very difficult to do that when you're committed to bunting. You're anticipating that you're going to get a fastball in. By Cobb throwing a breaking ball there, all Jackson could do was stab at it, and he missed it.
Austin struck out in the first inning. Backs away from a pitch inside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Kinsler in the on deck circle. Jackson ranks 4th in the American League since the start of the 2010 season. He has scored 432 runs in that span. Here's the 2-1. Bouncing ball foul in on his hands that time. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Swing and a miss, and once again Cobb strikes out Jackson. He has 2 more strikeouts in this inning.
That splitter, he throws it at about 88 miles an hour. That's the second time he's gotten Jackson on the split-fingered fastball.
I think he has a wicked dive right at the end.
No doubt. It's a well above average pitch for Alex Cobb.
He's got Jackson wondering right now. 2 outs as Kinsler stands in. He had a single back in the first. And there's strike 1 on the outer edge.
The key is when Cobb does throw you that first pitch fastball, you need to be ready for it, because He does like to lead off the left-handers and the right-handers the majority of the time with that four-seam fastball that he threw to Kinsler.
Kinsler right now in a really good stretch. He's hit safely in 18 of his last 20.
Making a strong bid to make the All-Star team as his first year in a Tigers uniform.
Grounded foul at home plate, 1-2 the count. Well, I think he's done everything needed to be someone selected for that game. Certainly has played well defensively. He's on pace for nearly 90 RBIs this year, double-digit homers, and has been over 300 most of the season. He has scored a ton of runs, in fact, second in the American League with 59 runs scored.
When you bat in front of guys like Miggy and Victor and the way that JD Martinez has been playing lately, the table setters are going to have a tremendous opportunity to touch home plate quite often.
And the 1-2. Low, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Here's the 2-2. Grounded foul right back for the Tiger dugout. Ray's got a run in the top of this inning. Back-to-back doubles. Jennings and Zobrist to make it 1-0. Grounded foul again.
And Tigers, they struck quickly last night. It was Ian Kinsler who played a long ball in the first inning. Victor Martinez also hit a homer in the first inning. And Torrey Hunter played long ball, hitting his 10th home run of the season. Tigers didn't look back after that. They did all that damage against the starter, Eric Bedard.
Bedard would be taken out of the ballgame 2 innings in or after 2 innings. So they had to go to their bullpen early last night.
Joe Madden recognized very early if he was going to give his team an opportunity to come back. Bedard was not going to slow down the Tigers' offense.
Again, the 2-2. Pop up shallow right field. Kiermaier is under it, and the Tigers will go 1-2-3. 3 innings in the books here on the 4th of July as we go to the 4th. 1-0 Rays.
For the past 2 weeks, You've been reading about a bad brag. Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth. When you look around, wouldn't you consider it privilege to associate yourself with such a fine-looking man as is standing in uniform in this ballpark today?
That was Lou Gehrig 75 years ago, the 75th anniversary of his speech. As we welcome you back to Comerica Park on this 4th of July. It's 1-0 in favor of the Rays, and Drew Smyly goes back to the hill. He will face Longoria, Forsythe, and Loney. 1 run on 3 hits for the Rays. Tigers no runs, 3 hits. Longoria had himself a double to start things off in the second, but the Rays could not advance him nor score him. Here's the 2-0 pitch. And it's a strike right in the outer edge. 2-1 on Longoria. He is the all-time leader in Rays history in home runs with 172. The 2-1 pitch. Drill toward left field. Way back. Martinez turning. He has just added to that total. It's a solo home run to make it 2-0. Make it 173 career home runs.
It won't be long before Evan Longoria holds all the records as far as offensive numbers are concerned in a Tampa Bay Rays uniform. A hanging breaking ball at 81 miles an hour smoked by Longoria.
That is his second extra base hit of the night. A homer to go with his double, and it's 2-0 Tampa Bay.
And he really has not performed all that well on the road this year. He has performed much better at Tropicana Field in Tampa, or St. Petersburg, I should say.
Here's a strike called on Forsythe. A couple of Razorbacks facing each other here. Both went to the University of Arkansas.
Speaking of Tampa, Joe Madden is opening up a new restaurant in Tampa, an Italian restaurant, and it's going to be named Ava. So we might have another Italian spot to go visit when we go to St. Petersburg, if we could sneak over to Tampa.
When's it opening up?
September.
Oh, really?
We'll be there and gone by then, though.
Yeah, we will. We'll be there before September.
Well, we can always go back in spring training.
Ah, good point. So Joe Madden is expanding his horizons. Huh?
He is. He loves Italian food. He also loves his wine, too, if you didn't know that. He is quite the wine connoisseur.
2 balls, 2 strikes on Logan Forsythe. James Loney will be next. Rays have added another. They lead 2-0 here in the 4th. Will pop up back out of play. Forsythe, a 5-game hitting streak. He struck out against Smyly in his first at bat. And again, the 2-2. Drilled and caught. Suarez, another mini leap to make the play. First out of the 4th.
Had him played perfectly. All he had to do was elevate.
Here's James Loney.
Sweet looking hats the Tigers are sporting here today on Independence Day.
I like them. Got the red, white, and blue. I'm not used to seeing the Tigers wearing a predominantly red cap.
We're going to have to go down and see Jim Schmeichel tomorrow to see if you and I can get one of those. Schmeichel's always good about including us in those types of things.
Well, he probably just heard that right now anyway, so I'm sure he's working on it.
He might run them up here right now, knowing Schmeichel.
You've got no shame, man.
Why would I?
1 ball, 1 strike. That's off the end of the bat.
Well, we might need 3 today. Shannon Hogan, she wants to get in on it, too.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, you got 3, Smake, we need.
Loney in his first at bat, fly to center field. Smiley's got him set up 1-2 here. And then he fouled it off. Just stays alive.
I told you that Loney pretty good against left-handers, but Drew Smiley coming into this contest today holding left-handed batters to a 138 batting average. I mean, he's been death on lefties, and some of your better left-handers in the American League, when Smiley's on the mound, they simply get a day off.
Swing and a miss, and that was not a very comfortable looking swing. Smiley has another strikeout. A Motown night is coming up Friday, July 18th. The Tigers hosting the Indians at 7:08. Get an upper box ticket, admission to the Motown Museum, and a special Tigers Hitsville USA t-shirt exclusively at tigers.com/Motown. July 18th, be here. The Indians are in town. 2 gone now, and here is Sean Rodriguez. Rodriguez in this game is 0 for 1. Bounced out his first time up.
That last breaking ball Smiley threw bounced 4 feet in front of home plate, and yet Rodriguez swung at it because he was dialed in so much for the fastball, and then Smiley comes back with a fastball for a strike, and he takes it.
And he's behind 1-2. Rodriguez hit a 445-foot home run at Yankee Stadium on Wednesday.
Where did he get that pop from?
Precisely was going to be my question. He's not a big guy.
He had a huge home run season in the minor leagues for the Angels, though, before he was traded to the Tampa Bay Rays. He hit for power in the minors.
Now the 2-2. A little high. 3 balls and 2 strikes. That's one of the reasons that Joe Maddon liked him. Of course, Maddon was in the Angels organization, was familiar with Rodriguez. That is popped up foul, back out of play. 3-2 on Sean Rodriguez, who hails from Miami, Florida, still lives there. There's Molina waiting on deck. Fly ball left field. JD on the run, still going back. He'll make the play on this one. That'll end the inning, not before the Rays get another run in the homer. And coming up, Miguel Cabrera, Victor Martinez, JD Martinez. Tigers have the big lumber coming up in the 4th. Using hashtag Detroit Fan Photo for a chance to have it shown in an upcoming game broadcast. It is brought to you by AT&T. Detroit Fan Photo is your hashtag. Back here at Comerica. Great night for baseball. Tigers down by a couple of runs as Miguel Cabrera leads it off in the bottom of the 4th inning. Alex Cobb had a 1-2-3 third with a couple of strikeouts. And Cabrera cuts and misses 0-1.
Yeah, Miggy went up there looking for that first pitch fastball because Cobb has thrown a lot of first pitch fastballs, but he threw him a breaking ball, and Miggy couldn't hold up. Miggy taking a lot of time getting back in the batter's box.
I think he did something on the last swing. He had a crooked look on his face. Shaking out that left leg.
He wouldn't be setting Cobb up, would he?
Swing and a miss. Wouldn't put it past him. I really wouldn't.
Here's that first swing that Miggy took, and it took him a while before he gathered himself and got back in the box.
It's 1-2 now on Cabrera. Miggy bounced into a double play back in the first.
3 straight off speed pitches thrown by Cobb in the first 3 pitches of this pitch sequence to the big fella.
Cobb has 3 strikeouts in this game. Ground ball slowly left side of the infield. Cut off at third by Longoria. And Cabrera's out, 1 gone. 5 in a row set down by Cobb.
Let's see if he's favoring anything running down the line.
A grimace or two. Here's Victor Martinez. He flied out to center field in his first at bat. 326 for Victor. 21 home runs now, which is good for 4th in the American League. Came in 3rd in batting average. Strike 1 called. So Cobb now has really turned things around in terms of first pitch strikes. 7 for his last 7. And he hit it.
Oh, he smoked him good too.
Man, you could hear that all the way up here.
Looked like it got him right on the outside of the right knee.
So Martinez gingerly will take his base at first. Fortunately, it didn't look like a direct hit to the front knee.
It's going to hurt for a while.
Ugh. So we'll see if JD can make him pay.
First time Victor's been hit by a pitch this year.
All season?
Yep.
Wow. Martinez had a single in the second. And JD looks at a strike. 0-1. 1-on-1 out. Tigers down by 2. We're in the 4th. Pulled to third, over the glove of Longoria down the left field line. Victor rumbling toward third base. He's going to get there, and it's a double for JD Martinez. 2 more hits tonight for JD.
Well, hopefully the hit batter and that caused the stress in this inning by Alex Cobb comes back to haunt him. It's a fastball up in the zone that JD Martinez rips right past the diving Longoria. Longoria Could not make the play. He's won a couple Gold Gloves at third base, but couldn't slow that one down.
And it's JD on a tear.
Brad Ausmus can't get him out of the lineup. Rajai Davis had 6 RBIs in that Oakland Athletics series. A grand slam, and he had another base hit which drove in 2. But he can't get back in there.
Well, that'll set up Torrey Hunter now with only 1 out. Perhaps a base hit away from tying this one up. And Torrey waves and misses 0-1.
Anything hit on the ground, Victor Martinez obviously is coming on contact because the defenders are playing deep. But he better really get on his horse because they've got the kind of athletes in their infield where they might try to get him at home if the ball's hit sharply off the bat of Torrey Hunter, regardless of where they're playing right now.
Inside, 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, he's made good on 11 of these 16 opportunities with a runner in third, less than 2 outs. Another chance here, hit batter and a double. Here's the 1-1. Grounded foul, 1-2 on Torrey.
And Torrey Hunter's been on a tear lately. 5 hits in the last 2 games. 1 against the Athletics, and then yesterday here against Tampa. And he's driven in 5 runs with those 5 hits, and all of the hits have come after 2 were out.
Up and in to Torrey Hunter, and the count goes 2-2, and Torrey slowly spins out of the box. It was said about the letters.
After 1 was out, he hit Victor Martinez with a 4-seam fastball on the outside of the right knee.
Torrey, whoa. 2-2. Sawed him off, rolled toward third base. Longoria will allow the run to score. Torrey is out of there, but gets an RBI. 45th RBI of the season. Victor comes around to score.
Not hit very hard, but it gets the job done.
Tigers back to within a run now. It's a 2-1 ball game. Hunter gets the congratulations for knocking that run in. He's going to bring up Don Kelly with a chance to tie it up. Kelly had a base hit on his first at bat. This is his first start since June the 20th in that series against Cleveland. It was at the start of the last road trip, so Kelly has had trouble cracking into the lineup.
Castellanos playing good baseball these days.
Ground ball right side to the grass. Kelly is out. Nice play by Forsythe. Tigers settle for 1 run, and we are headed to the 5th.
boys of Motown hope to have bombs bursting in air over Comerica Park.
Grand slam home run!
And give proof through the night they remain AL frontrunners. Detroiters know we have certain unalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of a World Series crown.
Well, a happy 4th of July to all of our Tigers viewers here this evening. The Tigers and the Tampa Bay Rays getting together here in Game 2 in the series. Tigers get a run back. It's now a one-run contest, 2-1. And Drew Smyly goes back to the hill facing Jose Molina to start things off. Molina, then Kiermaier, and then Desmond Jennings. Molina lines softly his first time up to the second baseman Kinsler. Smyly tonight has given up an RBI double to Zobrist and a homer to Longoria. Ball's hit softly to short. Suarez has it. Plenty of time to throw him out. One gone. We'll bring up Kevin Kiermaier. Kiermaier fly to center field back in the third.
Yeah, be careful on your first pitches to Kiermaier. Very aggressive. And you can throw something up in the zone if it's a fastball around the letters, and he might still swing at it. He likes to ambush you.
Bouncing ball to first. That is a foul ball, and a tumbling try there by Cabrera. Kiermaier now is 0 for his last 11. This is on the heels of a really good month of June. He hit .316 in June.
If you weren't with us last night, we told you that Kiermaier has 7 home runs in the big leagues this year. Never hit more than 5 in any minor league season. Never more than 5. 31st round draft choice. Known for his defensive ability more so than his offense, but his offense has showed up this season in his rookie campaign.
Here's the 0-2, and it missed outside.
Tigers got off to that real nice start yesterday and really handcuffed the Rays from an offensive standpoint. They're a very aggressive team. They run the bases very aggressive. Go first to third. They like to steal bases, but trailing by as many as they were trailing by last night, they really couldn't get anything going. And that and the fact that Max Scherzer, he wasn't giving up a whole lot anyway. Max was once again sensational last night.
Smyly missing outside. Scherzer resembling the Scherzer of last year with his effort last evening.
Yeah.
And he got touched up for the run very early in the ball game, but after that the door was slammed. It's foul back out of play.
It's a nice luxury to have if you're a Brad Ausmus and you come to the ballpark every single night and you know your 5 starters, all 5 of them, it can give you a legitimate chance of winning the game. There aren't many teams that can boast that.
Well, there aren't any, in my opinion, in the Central Division that can boast 5 guys that you know going out there you feel pretty comfortable with. And that's what I think separates the Tigers from the rest of the division. Here's the 3-2. High fly ball. Right center field. Who wants it? It'll be Hunter right in front of Jackson to make the catch. 2 gone. You know, it's kind of a nice feeling, Rod, going into the trading deadline, but you're not really, you don't have that pressing need to find that starter that can give you some innings, because the Tigers really aren't hurting in that situation.
No, they're not. And the last number of years, it's been what David Dombrowski has gone out at the trade deadline and acquired starting pitching. This year, they'll be looking for bullpen help.
Here's Desmond Jennings. Double ground out, 1 for 2. Fouled away 0-1.
The Tigers really don't have to make a move to win the Central. But if they want the ultimate prize, if they want to get into the playoffs and win the World Series, they're probably going to have to shore up the bullpen a little bit. Help out Jabba, help out Joe. Phil Koch has emerged as a real good reliever once again, along with Albuquerque.
Line drive to right, base hit. Be a 2-out single for Jennings, his second hit in this game.
Here's our Xfinity high-speed pitch on the fastest fastball that Drew Smyly has thrown here so far today. 92. His top fastball, breaking ball, has gone as low as 75 miles an hour.
We'll bring up Ben Zobrist.
Jennings has 12 steals this year. And a lot of base runners, when they try to steal against Drew, they simply guess. And they go on first movement.
That is the 5th hit of the game for the Rays, but their first single. Everything else has been for extra bases. Homer and 3 doubles. Zobrist has one of those doubles, had knocked in a run back in the 3rd when he went back-to-back with Jennings. Strike on the outer edge. Zobrist is a 2-time All-Star. He made the team for the first time in 2009 and then again last year for the Rays. He had had trouble driving in runs this year up until his last at bat when he came through with a man in scoring position. He was 1 for his previous 43 with men in scoring position. Now the 0-1. Let's go foul. 0-2 on Zobrist. I mentioned this earlier, but the Tigers catching this Rays team with several really big injuries. Will Myers on the DL, Yunel Escobar, Matt Moore, Jeremy Hellickson, the veteran outfielder David DeJesus. So they've gone with a lot of young guys up and down their lineup.
They were playing some pretty good baseball before they came here. They swept the Yankees. They also took a series from the Baltimore Orioles. They took 3 of 4 from Baltimore.
Smyly stepping off. He's ahead 0-2. Tigers fell behind 2-0, then got a run back. The RBI ground out by Torrey Hunter. The 0-2. Ground ball, fair ball inside the bag at third base. This will rattle off the railing. Into the corner it goes, and it's going to get a run in. Desmond Jennings comes around to score, and Zobrist does it again. It's a 2-out, 2-base hit to drive in a run.
And Smyly, his last outing against the Houston Astros, had a difficult time of getting the breaking ball down. He's thrown quite a few hittable breaking balls today to the Tampa Bay Rays hitters, and when he has hung that breaking ball, they haven't missed it. They've been hitting a lot of balls right down toward Don Kelly today.
Two RBIs tonight for Ben Zobrist, 20 for the season.
And that was an 0-2 pitch thrown by Drew Smyly.
And then it's popped up right side of the infield for Kinsler. And Geyer is out to end the inning. However, the Rays get one back. Back-to-back hits. Tigers baseball from Comerica Park, presented by Belt Tire. Sports Detroit is brought to you by Deliver Us from Evil in theaters now, and by the new Chevy Silverado light duty and heavy duty lineup. Back here at the ballpark. Strawberry shortcake.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I'll take one.
Ooh.
Or two.
That looks like the place to be.
Got any whipped cream?
They do. I bet they do.
Oh, there's some ice cream on there. Wow, does that look good?
There's your answer.
There's your whipped cream. You never have too much whipped cream. Well, let's see what the Tigers can do now as we go to the bottom of the fifth. It'll be Avila to start things off, then Suarez, and then Jackson facing Alex Cobb. And Avila looks at strike one.
So far, Cobb doing a nice job at slowing down the Tigers' offense, an offense that scored 17 runs in the last 2 days.
Well, this may be why he is 11 for his last 11 in first pitch strikes. And that was after he started 0 for 6.
That's always a plus. It allows you to expand the strike zone as a pitcher and get the hitters to chase something.
1 ball, 1 strike. Avila bounced out 3 unassisted his first time up. 3-1 in favor of the Rays. They've scored a run in each of the last 3 innings. Avila sends another ground ball to first. Loney with a flip to the pitcher, covering 1 gone. It'll bring up Eugenio Suarez. He struck out against Cobb back in the third when Cobb struck out a couple of Tigers. He's had a total of 3 in this game. And yet another first pitch strike. It's 12 for his last 12 now for Cobb. Continues to get ahead. The 0-1 pitch. Big swing there by Suarez. 0-2. It'll be Jackson next as we play here in the 5th.
And there's that tumbler, that split-fingered fastball, but he calls it a changeup, but everybody else in the industry calls it a splitter.
Oh, 0-2.
I guess if he's throwing, he can call it whatever he wants to call it.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing. If it's coming out of his fingers, well, we'll just go with his explanation. Career at Comerica Park, couple of starts. He's given up 1 earned run.
He's averaged over a strikeout per inning as well.
Swing and a miss. Suarez is out. 2 gone. And 4 strikeouts now.
He's punched out Suarez twice. And he's got Austin Jackson twice. And he's gotten them both with the exact same pitch.
So Jackson with his 2 strikeouts steps in. And Austin now batting .246. In for a strike. Cobb last year had a really good season despite the injury, which knocked him out for a couple of months. He finished 11-3 last year with a 2.76 ERA.
That's why he was elevated to their number 2 starter coming out of spring training behind David Price.
Price, by the way, will pitch against the Tigers in this series. That'll be the Sunday night game.
That should be a good contest. He and Ricky P.
As should the ball game tomorrow, Sanchez and Chris Archer. Rolled foul.
Nice pick by Ian Kinsler. Nice reflexes. I see you, Ian.
One and 2 the count. 2 out, nobody on. Tigers bat here in the 5th. And the 1-2. Got him. Strike 3. And Jackson has fanned 3 times tonight. That's the 5th in the ball game now for Alex Cobb. 5 in the books here at the ballpark as we go to the 6th. The Rays on top.
Evan Longoria already with a couple of hits in this game. He doubled on a fastball down his first time up, then he got a hanging breaking ball, and from Drew Smyly homered in the fourth inning. Look at the location. One is down, one is up, but swing is the same for Longoria, and he came in batting just .218 on the road this year.
And he is hit by the pitch to start things off here in the sixth inning as Smyly comes up and in.
It's the second batter that we've had hit in the game today. Victor Martinez took one off the outside of the right knee his last time he was up.
Martinez came around to score later in that inning. Now Longoria is on. Here's Logan Forsythe.
And nowhere for Longoria to go.
Forsythe is 0 for 2. Line out, strikeout. Rolled foul, 0-1. 3 runs on 6 hits for the Rays. The Tigers run on 4 hits, and both teams have stranded 3 runners in this game. Rays have gotten a run in each of the last 3 innings. The 0-1 sails low. 1 ball, 1 strike on Forsythe. Played some second base. He's played some left field, some third. He's DH'd. He is at second tonight for the Rays. Ball high from Smyly. 2-1. There is action in the Detroit bullpen as Smyly now has thrown his 95th pitch. That is Chance Smith. The 2-1. Outside, 3 balls, 1 strike.
Have you heard anything as to where they might want to keep Smyly's innings at this year? First year back in the rotation after pitching out of the bullpen last year.
I have not, but judging on what they've done with Porcello in recent years, I think they certainly want to keep it below 200. And as you mentioned, he spent all of last year out of the bullpen, so I don't know. I mean, I guess you have to be careful. He just walked a man right there, and that's going to put 2 on now with nobody out. But no, I have not heard any range. And Jeff Jones coming out. By the way, just a reminder as you enjoy a cold one to look forward to Miller time later in tonight's game, brought to you by Miller Lite. Smyly gets a visit from Jeff Jones. The most that Smyly has thrown in one season was 99 in the 3rd innings a couple of years ago when he split time in the rotation and the bullpen. He's at 97 pitches right now in this one.
If he makes a good pitch down and away to Loney, he can get himself a double play ball off the bat of James, which would greatly aid him into getting out of this jam that he has created by hitting Longoria and walking Forsythe.
Low ball 1.
Loney has grounded into a team high 10 double plays this year.
Loney, former Los Angeles Dodger in the National League, parts of 7 years with LA. And that ball is up and in. Now the count goes to 2-0.
James kind of fell out of favor in Los Angeles. And it did not quite hit for the power that they always wanted at that position. Good line drive hitter.
Well, there's room, in my opinion, for guys like this. I mean, he's going to drive in close to 100 runs, double-digit homers, hit nearly 300. And he pops this one in the air. Shallow right field. Jackson and Hunter. And it's Torrey, the right fielder. First out of the inning. Time for a game break now. To the studio we go. Trevor Thompson. All right, Trev, we'll keep our eyes on that one as well, as Smiley has hit 100 pitches now.
Trevor T fired up on Independence Day, and he doesn't even drink coffee.
How do you know that?
I know Trev doesn't drink coffee.
Fired up on that last highlight, that's for sure. One out. Here's Sean Rodriguez. And he rolls one foul, third base side. Smiley has thrown 10 pitches now in this inning, only 2 of them strikes, or 3 of them strikes actually now after that foul ball. Rodriguez ground out, fly out. Inning started with Longoria hit by a pitch. Forsythe then walked. Here's the 0-1. High fly ball, right center field. That ball is tattooed way back in right center, and that ball is up against the wall. That will get 2 runs in. Rodriguez on his way to third, sliding in safely with a 2-run triple. And that's going to be it for Smiley. So the hit batter comes around to score. So does the walk.
That's a breaking ball that Rodriguez goes out to get. Torrey Hunter was playing him shallow to give himself an opportunity to throw out Longoria should Rodriguez gotten a base hit in this direction, but Rodriguez did better. He tripled and drove in 2.
So Smiley, after a total of 102 pitches, will depart the scene. Chad Smith comes running in from the Tigers bullpen. And that'll be it. It's a Wallside Windows pitching change. We'll be back.
The Rays up 5-1 on the Tigers. I am out on the right field porch. Mario and Rod, this is exactly where you're going to be broadcasting from tomorrow afternoon for the Tigers game. These guys just warming up your seats here, and you can see it is a fantastic view. Not only that, there's a great party out here, and I know the Tigers fans can't wait for you guys to get down here. I do have to say, after watching a half an inning out here, you might have to take like a second or two when you're doing your scorecard. You know, you're kind of like, oh, where are they going? Just because everything's a little bit backwards. But It's a beautiful night. Hopefully it'll be beautiful tomorrow, and just cool to have a different perspective of the ball game for you and, of course, the fans as well.
The game will be secondary for me tomorrow night, Shannon.
By the way, ask them to keep some food out there for us. I saw a little pizza on that table there. That looks pretty good.
There was some pizza. I will tell you, before this inning, I almost took one step too far backwards. Don't do that.
No.
Just stay with just stay seated.
Stay with us, Shannon. We appreciate it.
I'll be here tomorrow, too. I'm going to come visit.
We look forward to that tomorrow night. Definitely broadcasting from the right field balcony out here at Comerica Park. There's Shannon Hogan. She'll be out there. And we look forward to that broadcast tomorrow night. Some business to take care of here, though. The Tigers down 5-1. They have pulled the infield in here. And Chad Smith is your new pitcher. Molina looks at a strike call. Oh, he didn't like it, and he's going to beef now with Quinn Walcott. That's a huge out there. That's the second out of the inning. Bill Madden coming out to grab his catcher before he's ejected.
It's a two-seam fastball at the bottom of the zone by Chad Smith. Mr. Foxtracks is saying that it might have caught at the bottom of the strike zone.
So Smith gets a big strikeout. Infield back now with 2 outs. Here's Kevin Kiermaier. 5-1 ball game. Rays on top. We're in the 6th inning. Ball 1 on Kiermaier. Fly balls twice in this game. One to center, one to right. Strike called to the outer edge. Kiermaier disagrees. He steps out. Two-run triple by Sean Rodriguez, chasing Drew Smyly. That one missed outside. 2-1. All of the scoring in the last 4 innings for the Rays, 1 in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th innings, and now 2 here in the 6th. Lifted toward left. Ball carrying, but Martinez goes back to the warning track to end the inning. Smith, nice job coming out of the bullpen, limiting the damage, but 2 more runs in for the Rays.
Here's our Bell Tire pitch by pitch. We told you that Alex Cobb had not really gotten a lot of run support from his teammates this season, but the last 3 starts he has gotten some run support. But when he does get it, he's got that fastball he can spot at about 92 to 94. He's got that split-fingered fastball that's been unhittable to the guys that he's thrown it to. At the bottom of the strike zone, he's racked up 5 strikeouts in this contest, Alex Cobb.
And he'll go back to work now with a 5-1 lead as you look at his numbers. Hasn't walked anybody tonight.
And pitch count in outstanding shape.
There's another hit batter. Kinsler hit by a pitch. He'll put the leadoff man aboard. 3rd hit batter in this game.
Warnings have now been issued.
Martinez was hit. Longoria was hit. And now Kinsler was hit.
Kinsler was hit with a breaking ball, but that doesn't mean there wasn't any intent there.
Jose Molina saying the exact same thing. That was a breaking ball. And now the umpire saying, look, warnings have been issued. Let's just move on. There
have been some guys that have gone to a breaking ball to send a message to the other team.
There's Greg Gibson saying, look, it's over. And he is arguing now with Joe Madden.
It's nice recognition by the umpires here tonight, in my opinion. Squash anything before it gets out of hand.
He's telling Joe Madden to go back, and Joe Madden's not going back.
And Greg Gibson, he is the crew chief.
Been thrown out of the game. Joe Madden would not go back. He wanted to talk to Gibson. And he gave him his final warning. But Madden ignored it, and now he's been given the heave-ho. Madden was saying, look, it was just a curveball that got away. But the umpires immediately seized control of the situation, issued warnings. We'll see how long this continues. Finally, Joe Madden has said his piece, and he will leave.
He'll turn the lineup card over to his bench coach, Dave Martinez.
So we'll see if the Tigers now can make him pay. Kinsler hit by the pitch. Martinez was hit in the 4th, and he came around to score.
There's Dave Martinez.
So here is Cabrera now. Miggy is 0 for 2. Double play ball and a ground out. Ball 1 to Cabrera. Now throw back, and Kinsler back in there. The other thing Madden may have been arguing and bringing up is why there were no warnings issued after Longoria, the second guy, was hit. After Martinez was hit, Longoria was drilled by Drew Smiley to lead off the 6th inning, and he came around to score. Here's the 1-0. That's in for a strike. 1-1 on Miguel Cabrera.
Now here's the breaking ball that hit Ian Kinsler on the left shoulder. And warnings issued by Quinn Wolcott, the home plate umpire. He points to Tampa dugout, then he points to the Tigers dugout to alert both managers. But Madden, he wasn't having any of that. He wanted to talk to Greg Gibson.
Gave him his final warning to stop, and Joe wouldn't, and so he's out of the game. Now he threw it away. Kinsler ends with his second, maybe more. Nope, he's going to hold up at second base.
It's a wise decision by Ian Kinsler not to force the issue with nobody out and Miguel Cabrera standing in the batter's box.
An error on the throw by Alex Cobb.
After Ian got back to the bag, he saw the ball get past Loney. He went towards second base, picked up his third base coach, who was simply telling him to stay put.
That'll get the crowd into it a little bit now after the Tigers fell behind 5-1. They've got a runner at second and nobody out. In the middle of their lineup coming up. One and two now on Miguel Cabrera.
Alex Cobb continues to get lots of swings and misses on that splitter. If you weren't with us earlier, we told you that he throws that pitch 33% of the time. 33% of the time he threw that pitch last year. 32% this year.
That pretty much has been where he has been for his entire career when you even out the numbers. About 32-33%. 2-2 on Miguel Cabrera.
It's a hard split-fingered fastball as well. He throws it anywhere from 86 to 88 miles an hour. His fastball tops out at 94.
And the 2-2. High, 3 balls, 2 strikes. Five runs, 7 hits for the Rays. A run on 4 hits for the Tigers. Here's the 3-2. Checked it and fouled it off. Cobb now is at 77 total pitch. The pitch count has been in much better shape than Smiley's was all night long. He's been pretty effective, and he hit the first batter here, which has created some trouble in the 6th. And he walked it, ball 4. First 2 men on here in the 6th inning. It's his first walk of the ball game. Hey, Tuesday, July 15th, baseball's best gather in Minnesota as the captain, Derek Jeter, takes the field in his last All-Star game ever in what promises to be an emotional and unforgettable night. Special coverage begins at 4:30 on Fox Sports 1 and then followed by the 2014 All-Star Game at 7:30 on Fox. Hit batter and a walk, and that has brought the crowd to life here in the 6th inning. Nobody out. Jim Hickey out there to have a confab.
You got any plans for the 4-day break where you're going to recharge your batteries at?
All-Star break, yeah. We're going to watch my son play some summer baseball.
Where's he playing at?
Well, he's going to be playing in Flat Rock for a couple of days. Which
are you going to Flat Rock?
Yeah, it's turned out to be pretty good. He plays in Ohio, but they're coming up to Michigan to play. The timing is great.
How far is that from here?
About an hour.
Oh, that's it?
Well, not from Detroit. It's even less. From my house, about an hour.
Oh.
How about you?
I think I'm going to go back to Arizona.
Well, here is Martinez. Victor hit by a pitch and scored a run back in the 4th. Flight out in the 2nd. Checked it low. Did he go? Yes. Says Phil Cuzzy. 0-1 on Victor. Big spot here in the middle of this ball game. Martinez with a chance to cut into this deficit. Homer to the ball game last night, had a couple of hits. Kinsler and Cabrera on here in the 6th inning. One ball, one strike. Pretty good ratio tonight for Alex Cobb after 80 total. He is yet to record an out here in the 6th. Here's the 1-1. Ground ball. Right down to second baseman Forsythe into right field. Kinsler coming around to score. Victor gets it done, and the Tigers get one back.
Victor hitting .290 before he gets that tumbalina up at the top of the strike zone and hits an absolute rocket right past their second baseman Forsythe to play Ian Kinsler, who was hit to lead off the inning.
All 3 hit batters in this game have come around to score. 5-2 tying run at the plate, and J.D. Martinez takes ball 1. Brad Boxberger has been warming up for the Tampa Bay Rays. Watching the action now from the bullpen in case he's needed. And Cobb has some trouble here in the 6th inning. The 1-0 outside, 2 balls and no strikes on Martinez. Torrey Hunter waiting on deck. Off the plate. Now it's 3-0.
Don't know for sure, but Brad Ausmus might have enough confidence in J.D. Martinez to give him the green light here on this 3-0 fastball. Doesn't mean that J.D. will swing at it, but he's probably got the green light.
Green light, but it's grounded foul.
He wasn't looking to hit a single either.
3-1.
And Martinez should be looking for that same fastball, despite the fact that Cobb throws a lot of splitters and has thrown a lot of splitters already in this contest. You have to sit on your fastball here.
And he lost him, ball 4. That's going to load the bases with nobody out. Second walk in the inning. Dave Martinez coming out. It all started with the hit batter Kinsler. And that's going to be it for Alex Cobb. And he's going to count on his bullpen here to limit the damage. 5-2 ball game. Cobb will leave after 86 pitches. Brad Boxberger coming in. It's a wall-side windows pitching change. We're in the 6th at Comerica Park. We'll be back.
Fourth inning, Evan Longoria homered on Smiley. That pushed the score to 2-0. And Tigers got themselves on the board after a J.D. Martinez double. Torrey Hunter came up and hit a ground ball. Victor Martinez on third base, able to scamper home. But Rodriguez in the sixth inning, he tripled into the right center field gap. That was against Smiley to drive in two more. And then this inning, a hit batter, a couple of walks, and Victor Martinez with a big base hit. J.D. Martinez with a base on balls as well. Tigers have the bases loaded with nobody out.
Brad Boxberger is in now. They are loaded up for Torrey Hunter. A run in.
He's got a good fastball. He's got a good changeup and a slider for Brad Boxberger. Good numbers, 2.87 ERA, 48 strikeouts against 12 base on balls.
Lifted back out of play. No balls, 2 strikes on Torrey.
Excuse me, swing by Torrey Hunter on that 94-mile-per-hour fastball.
Boxberger is a Southern California kid. Fullerton, California. And Cobb right now is hoping the bullpen can do its job, although it's a tough spot here. Bases loaded, nobody out. Here's the 0-2. Fouled away again.
Their starters have not been giving them the kind of length this year as they did last year. Their bullpen, Tampa's bullpen, has thrown a whopping 288 innings already, which is the most in the major leagues.
Checked it. No, he did not go. Boxberger back on May 15th gave up a walk-off 3-run homer to Mike Trout after replacing Grant Belfour. He replaces Cobb here in the 6th inning with the bases full.
Boxberger has inherited 19 base runners this year. Only 4 of them have come around to score. So he's done a pretty good job at limiting the guy's runs that he comes in to pitch afterwards.
Cabrera, Martinez. Bouncing ball to short. This looks like 2. It is, but it gets another run in. And the Rays will gladly exchange 2 outs for the run. 5-3 ball game. And it brings up Don Kelly. Kelly 1 for 2 tonight. Checked it. Strike 1 on DK. Oh, Kelly telling him you got to check that. Home plate umpire Quinn Walcott called it himself.
Did Don Kelly say that?
Yeah, it's kind of surprising.
Don Kelly don't say a whole lot.
Mild mannered Don Kelly. Got a runner in third here with 2 outs. He's trying to drive him in. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Boxberger's a slinger. He just kind of slings the ball up toward home plate. A little fading changeup, little breaking ball, and a good fastball at 95 miles an hour. But makes him tough, though, is the fact that he just kind of slings it out there from a low 3/4 arm slot.
Strike call. 1-2 the count.
Got a good fastball. And Boxberger also has a real good changeup that he likes to throw with 2 strikes.
And the 1-2. Swing and a miss. Struck him out. And Kelly is out. Boxberger comes in, does a nice job. They give up another run. 2 for the inning. Tigers have crawled back a little bit closer. As we go to the 7th inning here at Comerica Park, it's now a 5-3 ball game.
A shout out to my friends and family back in Heartland, Michigan, and my lovely wife, Anna. And in the spirit of baseball season, go Tigers!
Thank you, Captain Jagish, as we welcome you back to Comerica Park. It is a 2-run ball game again, 5-3. As we celebrate the 4th of July here at the ballpark tonight. Fireworks spectacular to follow the ball game this evening. Top of the order coming up here for the Rays. It'll be Jennings, Zobrist, and Geyer in the 7th inning.
And Toji Boxberger, who did a nice job at limiting the damage against the Tigers in that last half inning and giving up only 1 run after he inherited the bases loaded. Slings the baseball up there. Smith also slings it up there at about 93 to 95 miles an hour.
It's been a good night for Jennings. Single, double. He has scored twice. 5 runs, 7 hits for Tampa Bay. 3 runs, 5 hits for Detroit. Outside, the count goes to 2-1. Zobrist waiting on deck. Three balls, 1 strike. Smith with the 3-1, and he throws a strike in the outer edge. Jennings trying to coax a walk from Quinn Walcott. Right in the lower reaches of the lower corner of the strike zone.
It's a well located fastball.
Here's the 3-2. Ripped down the left field line to the corner it goes, and what a night for Jennings. He's got himself another extra base hit. It'll be a leadoff double here in the 7th.
That's his 3rd double of the series, and he's got a lightning quick bat, especially on fastballs down and in, and that's exactly where that last one was.
Well, the Tigers host Clayton Kershaw, Yasiel Puig, and the Los Angeles Dodgers on July 8th and 9th at Comerica Park. Tickets for this interleague showdown are on sale now. Call 866-66-TIGER or visit tigers.com.
Should be a pretty entertaining series. Couple of really good baseball teams with good pitching staffs.
Tigers and Dodgers split 2 back in Los Angeles. They'll play 2 here next week. Blaine Hardy starting to warm up now in the Detroit bullpen. Here's Zobrist. He's had a couple of RBI doubles in this game. Sends a ground ball right side, scooped up there by Cabrera for the out. That'll advance the runner. 1 gone. Jennings goes to 3rd base. Now they'll try and get him in. Here's Brandon Geyer. Tigers have elected to pull the infield in here. Already down by a couple of runs, 5-3. We're in the 7th. Geyer sends a chopper back up the middle. Tough play for Kinsler. He's got only 1 play, and that's to first base for the out, and Geyer gets the run in.
Let's take a look at the Jimmy John's freaky fast delivery of the game. Back in the 4th inning, the Tampa Bay Rays were already ahead 1-0. Then up stepped Evan Longoria. He homered off Drew Smiley to push the lead to 2. Jimmy John's delivery of the game.
So now with 2 outs, here is Longoria. Bases are empty. Another run in. 6-3 ball game. Rays back up by 3. And Longoria backs out of there. 1 ball, no strikes. He was hit by a pitch and scored a run back in the 6th. Also has a homer and a double in this game. Here's the 2-0, and it's fouled straight back. 2-1 on Longoria. So the Rays keeping their streak going. They've scored at least 1 now in each of the last 5 innings. Forsythe on deck. Here's the 2-1. Swing and a miss.
Good breaking ball there thrown by Chad Smith. And a 2-1 count. Longoria looking for the fastball. Fooled by the off-speed pitch. It's a nice slide piece there.
Fouled away. 2-2 on Evan Longoria. Longoria's home run was his 11th of the year. He's got 39 RBIs. Much better hitter at home, where he's over 300. On the road, just 218, but you couldn't tell that tonight. Here's the 2-2. Outside, 3 balls, 2 strikes.
If you're Chad Smith and you have any confidence at all in that slider you threw a couple of pitches ago, you might want to come back with it here on the 3-2 pitch. They're going sinker ball inside.
And he lost him, ball 4. That's the 4th time tonight that Longoria has reached base. We'll bring up Forsythe. Walked and scored as part of a 2-run inning back in the 6th. That's when Sean Rodriguez tripled in 2. Tigers tonight have been out hit 8-5. They trail 6-3. That is in the air to right field. Should get him out of the inning. Torrey Hunter is under it to make the catch to retire the side. So we go to the bottom of the 7th inning, brought to you by Health Plus. Tigers have some ground to make up on a glorious night here at Comerica Park, with the Rays leading it 6-3. And we celebrate the 4th of July here at Comerica Park. And it's been a fabulous weekend for baseball here. And our God Bless America singer here tonight on the 4th of July, Staff Sergeant Mario Jimenez of the 127th Wing of the Michigan Air National Guard from Selfridge Air National Guard Base.
Land that I love, stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above, from the mountain to the prairies to the ocean white with foam.
myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
Happy 4th of July from Comerica Park. The Tigers and Rays playing game 2 in this series, and the Rays right now lead it by a score of 6-3 as the Tigers bat in the bottom of the 7th. They will have Avila, Suarez, and then back up to the top of the order, Austin Jackson. Boxberger brings it home and misses inside. 1 ball, no strikes on Avila. Boxberger came on, did a nice job, got a double play ball in the 6th, and then struck out Don Kelly to end the inning. Tigers did get 2 runs, but they had a chance to get some more. Avila in this one with a couple of ground outs, both to the right side of the infield. Boxberger sails one outside. 2 balls, no strikes. Avila now 1 for 6 in the series. Tigers tonight limited to 5 hits by Tampa pitching. They've employed the shift now on Avila. And a swing and a miss, 2-1. Forsythe going way back to the grass. Zobrist out around towards second base. The other side is second. 2 balls, 1 strike. Avila takes inside, and now the count goes to 3-1.
Avila ought to have that 94-mile-per-hour fastball that Boxberger is featuring timed by now. He's seen several of them. Good fastball count.
Here's the 3-1. Fouled off. Got a fastball, just got a piece of it. Now the count fills at 3-2. Cobb started the ball game, was bounced in the 6th by the Tigers. He hit a batter. He walked a couple, gave up an RBI single to Martinez. It was a high fly ball right field, fairly deep, but Kiermaier comes in now to make the play. 1 gone. Well, we're at Comerica Park tonight on the 4th of July. Happy you are with us. Mario and Pemba, Ron Allen, glad to have you with us, along with Shannon Hogan. As the Tigers celebrate the 4th, Chris Wazalewski is our producer tonight, and Mark Isofano is our director. And what has been a spectacular night weather-wise, temperature in the mid-70s. Here's Suarez. Ball 1 to Eugenio. A couple of strikeouts tonight, both of those at bats against the starter Alex Cobb.
And Cobb threw him a couple of those split-fingered fastballs that Suarez nearly spun himself into the ground on.
He's got himself ahead in the count here. 2 balls, no strikes. Fouled off the mask of Jose Molina.
39 years young, Jose Molina. Oldest active catcher in the major leagues. He just shook this off like nothing.
Direct hit. Two balls, 1 strike. And he floats one in for strike 2. 2-2 the count. Boxberger got to the big leagues initially with San Diego a couple of years ago. Appeared in 24 games out of the Padres pen. And pitching also with San Diego, part of the season last year. Strike 3 on Suarez, who fans for the 3rd time tonight. Second strikeout for Boxberger. Well, as promised earlier in the game, we have the AT&T fan photo of the game. Tweet your photo to #DetroitFanPhoto for a chance to be shown in an upcoming game broadcast. It is brought to you as always by AT&T. 2 up, 2 down. Here is Austin Jackson. In for a strike. Jackson 3 strikeouts tonight. And there's another strike, 0-2. Boxberger played for Buddy Black in San Diego for Joe Madden here in Tampa, and both Black and Madden, of course, were on the staff at one point of Mike Scioscia, manager of the Angels. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. Jackson goes down for the 4th time on strikes tonight. Tigers go quickly and quietly in the 7th on our way to the 8th here at the ballpark. Lou Gehrig on the 75th anniversary of his iconic Luckiest Man speech. Please visit MLBcommunity.org to donate towards the fight of ALS, otherwise known as Lou Gehrig's disease. Mario and Rod back here at the ballpark. Well, it's been Tampa mostly tonight here, and you can, I guess, credit the top of their lineup. They've been fabulous tonight.
No doubt about that. Zobrist at the top of that lineup along with Jennings. They've been on base all night long. They've done a lot of damage, just like Jackson did last night for the Tigers.
Well, Drew Smyly started this one. Looked pretty good early on, Rod, but then hit some trouble midway through. Well,
one of the things that Jim Leyland used to say all the time, you're only as good as that day's starter, and today it was Alex Cobb that was a little bit better than Drew Smyly. Just like last night's game, Eric Bedard was not as good as Max Scherzer, but the Tigers still have a few at-bats left in this game. They could very easily come back.
So the Rays batting now as we go to the 8th inning. Blaine Hardy is the new Tigers pitcher. He's got Loney to lead things off here in the 8th. And Loney looks at a ball inside. Rodriguez to follow, then Jose Molina. 6 runs on 8 hits for the Rays, 3 runs on 5 hits for the Tigers tonight. Loney is hitless. A 2-1 pitch. Bouncing ball right side, backing up Cabrera. Hardy will cover for the out, 1 gone. So Blaine Hardy follows Chad Smith to replace the starter Drew Smyly. Well, Sean Rodriguez had a big hit in this game, a 2-run triple. That was back in the 6th inning, which lengthened the lead to 5-1 at that point. And he looks at ball one outside from Hardy. Ball high. Tigers are still without Ian Kroll, who is currently on the disabled list. And if things go well, there is some hope that he could return for the Dodgers series. In the interim, the Tigers have called a couple of guys up from the minor leagues that have gotten an opportunity to pitch. Hardy, one of them this year for the first time in a Tigers uniform at the big league level.
Yeah, you go into the season with a 25-man roster that's set when you leave spring, but you know you're going to need 30 to 35 players to complete the season.
Here's the 3-1 pitch. Outside, he lost in ball 4. Rodriguez is aboard. Second time he has reached tonight. And that'll bring up Jose Molina. Chance Smith pitching an inning and 2/3 in relief, allowing 1 run, and now giving way to Blaine Hardy here in the 8th. Molina's average down to 169. He's 0 for 3 tonight. Cue that one back out of play. 0-1. This is the 15th big league season for Jose Molina. 3rd season in a Tampa Bay uniform. Well, Chase Rodriguez back. Rays trying to keep their streak going. They've scored at least 1 run in every inning since the 3rd. Piling up a 6-3 lead. Way high. 1 ball, 1 strike. Snap throw, and Rodriguez back. Here's the 1-1 on the outer edge. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Yeah, good off-speed pitch there thrown by Blaine Hardy. He's got a fastball anywhere from 89 to 92, but he's got a really good breaking ball. It's a curveball, not a slider.
Molina has bounced into 5 double plays this year. The 1-2 is a bouncing ball, but this one will find a hole into left field. Base hit. That will advance Rodriguez to second base, and 2 on now with 1 out. Vila's out to the mound to have a chat with Hardy. Kevin Kiermaier will stand in. He's put the ball in the air 3 times tonight, 0 for 3. And he's tried every field, 1 to left, 1 to right, 1 to center. That is the 9th hit of this ball game now for the Rays. Ball 1. Kiermaier played his college ball at Parkland College in Champaign. Here's Hardy's 1-0. Bouncing ball foul down the first base line. 1-1 on Kiermaier. Rays have the red-hot Desmond Jennings waiting on deck. He's had 3 consecutive hits. That top of the lineup has certainly gotten it done for the Rays. Zobrist out of the 2-hole has also had a big game. Longoria's homered tonight. Way inside. 2 balls, 1 strike on Kiermaier. That'll bring Avila out to the mound again. Dave Martinez handling the show right now for the Rays. Joe Madden has been ejected after warnings were issued a couple of innings ago. Here's the 2-1. He jabs at a bunt and missed it. Two balls, 2 strikes. Here's the 2-2. Got him, strike 3. Oh, I didn't like that call. Kiermaier now is going to have a conversation with Quinn Walcott, and we've had a few of these conversations tonight. 2 gone.
And Kiermaier took a breaking ball from Blaine Hardy that Quinn Walcott thought was a pretty good pitch.
So here is Jennings with 2 outs. Ball 1. That ejection, by the way, for Joe Madden tonight was his 3rd of the season, his 35th as the skipper of the Rays, and that's a club record.
Ejections have to be down overall this year with the new rules implemented with the new replay system.
You would think. That is popped up. Shallow right field. Looks like he'll get out of the jam. Who wants it? Kinsler does. And that is that for the Rays. No runs, a walk, a hit, 2 men left.
Contest today. Victor Martinez hit by Alex Cobb on the outside of the right knee, and then Torrey Hunter also got buzzed in this contest by Cobb. Drew Smiley, he smoked Longoria. Warnings were issued after this particular hit batter, and then you have Kinsler also being hit. Then here's our call, Sam, call of the game. And Greg Gibson, he's the second place umpire. He told Joe Madden, you stay right where you're at. Joe continued to walk out toward him, and he's bounced for the third time this year.
Well, we have a new pitcher now for the Rays. That'll be Joel Peralta.
And Joel Peralta, 266 appearances now with the Tampa Bay Rays. That is the most in team history. Congratulations, Joel Peralta. And a lot of those outings have been seventh inning or later, so he's gotten a lot of big outs for Joe Madden the last number of years while they've been winning 90 games per season.
Well, guess what? He's going to have to get some big outs here. It's a 3-run game, and he's got 2, 3, and 4 to deal with.
He will throw you everything but the kitchen sink. Breaking balls, fastballs, cutters, sliders, you name it. Peralta's got it.
Kinsler pops up the first pitch for out number 1. So Ian tonight now is 1 for 3. Miguel Cabrera comes strolling in. The Tigers' box score tonight looks like this. JD Martinez, 2 more hits in this game.
Top 3 hitters today, 1 for 9.
Now we'll see if Cabrera can get it started. Miguel had a walk and scored a run his last time up, and he looks at a strike. 0-1. 2 for 7 against Peralta in his career with a homer. But he also has 3 strikeouts. Joel Peralta, 38 years of age. Throws a strike, and it's 0-2. Rajai Davis has moved to the on-deck circle. Oh, 0-2 on Cabrera. Checked it. Peralta wants the appeal, but it's not given the appeal. 1-2 the count. Drill to center field, hit well. Jennings, though, is going to have room to dead center for the out. 2 gone. Well, on this Independence Day weekend, Fox Sports Supports is especially proud to recognize the Army's Gold Star Pin campaign, which honors the families of fallen service members. To learn more, visit goldstarpins.org. We invite you to do so to learn more about a great organization. So now Rajai Davis will pinch hit for Victor Martinez. Two out, nobody on. We're in the bottom of the 8th. 6-3. Rays have the lead. Check swing low and away. 1-0.
And Victor Martinez was 1 for 2 in this game with an RBI and 1 run scored.
Rod just highlighted all the appearances that Peralta has had. He had 80 of them last year. Well, they lean on him heavily, and there's a swing and a miss. 1-1.
Jim Hickey, the pitching coach of the Tampa Bay Rays, has resurrected a lot of careers over the years that he has been a pitching coach in Tampa. You don't hear his name very often, but there have been some guys that have had outstanding seasons under him. Fernando Rodney, Joaquin Benoit.
Swing and a miss as Rajai leaves the strike zone.
And that's just to name a couple of guys. There's Jim. Grew up in the Houston Astros organization as a coach.
1-2 on Davis. Fires that one low and away. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Peralta began his big league career with the Angels. That was the organization he grew up in. Got to the big leagues in 05 with LA, then KC, then Colorado. Brief time with Washington.
And then he found a home.
That he did. And he's been there for the last 4 years now in Tampa. Here's the 2-2. 3 balls, 2 strikes on Rajay.
If Tampa goes on to win this game, it'll be Brad Boxberger who did the heavy lifting. And Cobb left him the bases loaded with nobody out in the 6th. And only 1 run came in to score. Then he went on to pitch a scoreless 7th.
Dave Martinez, bench coach for Joe Maddon, taking over after Maddon was ejected earlier tonight.
Martinez has gotten a couple of interviews for managerial positions the last couple of years.
Fly ball. Shallow right field. Zobrist going back, or Forsythe, I should say. And it's Forsythe to make the catch. And it's going to be a 1-2-3 inning as Peralta made that look easy. We go to the 9th. Go to the 9th inning, and it's 6-3 in favor of the Rays, and they'll have Ben Zobrist leading it off against a new Tigers pitcher. Patrick McCoy now has come on for Detroit. Zobrist, Geyer, and Longoria 2, 3, and 4 in the lineup for Tampa Bay. It'll bounce in all the way to the backstop. 1 ball, 1 strike.
And McCoy pitching in his 4th game since being recalled from the minors. He's held his own, 2.70 ERA. A couple of strikeouts, a couple of walks.
Sliced foul down the right field line. That game summary again, the Rays 1 through 4 hitters, 5 doubles, homer, 4 RBIs. They've really gotten it done. JD Martinez continues to swing a hot bat for Detroit. And Joe Maddon ejected in the 6th inning of this contest. Here's the 1-2. Bouncing ball left side. Kelly cuts it off. Out at first base by a step. Zobrist is the first out of the 9th.
That's why they tell you to keep your feet moving as an infielder. Even after Don Kelly gathers this ground ball, just kind of kept his feet moving until he got to the proper arm slot, turned the body, and fired a strike over to Miggy.
Brandon Guyer had a big at bat in the 7th inning. They got a leadoff double, advanced the runner to third, and his ground ball scored the run. This ground ball is hit right off the chest of Kelly. And Donnie stays with it nicely. 2 gone.
Nice job by Don Kelly not panicking after the ball went off his chest. Simply kept it in front of him and went over and barehanded it in. Threw accurately across the diamond. Ninth start this year for Don Kelly at third base. He's not committed. He's committed 1 error at the position.
Here is Evan Longoria. Ball outside, 1-0.
He's their Miguel Cabrera. And when Longoria usually has a good game, the results are good for his team. When he doesn't hit, they don't win a lot of games. It's that simple.
Solo shot in the 4th inning. And he looks at a ball outside, 2-0.
He doubled his first time up, but he was left stranded at third base.
Word on Victor Martinez, he left due to irritation in his back.
Uh-oh.
I concur with that assessment. The 2-0 outside, 3-0.
Today was his first start against a right-hander. And the injury he suffered the final day in Houston kept him out of the Oakland series.
Longoria takes a 4-pitch walk. 2-out base runner. Bring up Logan Forsythe. 6 runs, 9 hits for the Rays. 3 runs, 5 hits for the Tigers. By the way, with that walk, Longoria on base 5 times tonight. Will help the old on base percentage. Strike 1 on Forsythe. 2 walks hit by a pitch, homer double for Longoria. Strike 0-2 on Logan Forsythe. Tigers in the bottom of the 9th will have J.D. Martinez, Torrey Hunter, Don Kelly. Now the 0-2. Try to hold up, couldn't do it. Strike 3. Nothing comes with a 2-out walk. We are headed to the bottom of the 9th in Comerica. Got to get the bats rolling.
Bottom of the ninth, the Tigers trailing the Tampa Bay Rays. And the award for the best dressed American, at least here at Comerica Park, I'm giving it to Andrew Romine. He didn't get a chance to start for the Tigers today, but he was rocking those socks, you guys. I love it. Of course, as soon as this game ends, stay right here with Fox Sports Detroit. We'll have you covered with Tigers Live. Post-game, I'll be heading into the clubhouse to talk with some of the guys. Drew Smiley and, of course, Brad Osman. It's all coming up on Tigers Live right after the game. Guys, back up to you.
All right, Shannon, thanks very much. Boy, those Sox were rocking indeed.
Yeah, they were.
Got a new pitcher now for the Rays, trying to close this one out. It'll be Jake McGee.
Some managers say they're going to go closer by committee, but they don't really mean it. Joe Madden means it. They just completed a sweep of the New York Yankees, and they had 3 different guys closing out games. Balfour, Boxberger, and Peralta, and now today, their first save opportunity since leaving New York, it's Jake McGee.
And he will face J.D. Martinez to lead things off.
A lot of hard stuff thrown by McGee. He's got a power arm, fastball anywhere from 95 all the way up to 98 miles an hour. He comes right after you.
Missing low, 1 ball, no strikes on Martinez. J.D. single, double, walk. Tigers need some base runners, down by 3 here in the 9th.
McGee did work on a curveball in spring training, and he started to incorporate that into his repertoire to give the hitters a different look.
He had an absolutely dominant season a couple of years ago, actually, 2012. When he appeared in nearly 70 games, had an ERA of 1.95 and struck out a ton.
Their bullpen was incredible that season.
Slapped back out of play, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Fernando Rodney was in that bullpen, and Wade Davis was also in that bullpen. Oh, they were incredible.
That's the year that Rodney was untouchable, right?
Yes, and Wade Davis was nearly untouchable, setting up for Fernando Rodney.
1 ball, 2 strikes on J.D. Martinez.
And Rodney hanging out with legendary Lloyd these days, the Pacific Northwest, the Seattle Mariners.
Missed it inside, 2 balls, 2 strikes. That'll get fouled down the right field line. McGee's a big dude, 6'3", 235, born in San Jose. He was going to go to college at UNLV before he signed to play professionally. "27 years old, Jake McGee." Fly ball, right field, heading toward the corner. Is it catchable? Leaping try. And he gave it a valiant effort, but Kiermaier ends up with nothing but some sore ribs.
Kiermaier is unbelievable.
He's not afraid, is he?
He's not afraid at all, man. He plays the game 1 speed, about 200 miles an hour.
You can tell he's hurting, though.
Well, he lost that battle with that wall. You don't usually win those.
Padding or no padding? Up, up, and away.
Great effort, though.
This one will get back out of play. J.D. Martinez has been as tough an out as you can find in the Tigers lineup, on base 3 more times tonight.
Batting .329 with 10 homers and 36 runs driven in. Started the season in the minor leagues. Was wearing out AAA pitching.
Now he's wearing out the big leaguers. The 2-2. Off the inside part of the plate, 3-2.
There's that curveball that McGee's been working on. And he's starting to feel a lot more comfortable throwing that pitch in big situations.
High fly ball. Playable. This one a little bit more routine for Kiermaier. 1 gone. Hey, can you beat the best? Join millions of players now on the only official home run derby mobile game from MLB.com. Square off against your friends from around the world live in multiplayer derby mode and climb to the top of the leaderboards. Download today for free in the Apple App Store or Google Play. Here's Hunter down with one out. And Torrey looks at ball one. McGee stepping off momentarily. Hunter knocked one in with a ground ball back in the fourth. Hit into a double play, which scored a run in the sixth. And he drives this one to left center field. That ball is tattooed, and that ball is up over the wall. It'll be a ground rule double for Torrey Hunter, and there's some light for the Tigers here in the ninth.
Torrey Hunter the last couple of years, and it started while he was playing for the Los Angeles Angels. He turned himself into a complete hitter, batting .300 the last 2 years, driving balls the other way, but he still has a real quick bat. That's a 95-mile-per-hour fastball thrown by Jake McGee, smoked into the gap by Torrey Hunter.
Two-base hit of the ground rule variety. And now the Tigers will get a pinch hitter for Don Kelly. It's Nick Castellanos. Crowd coming to life now. 40,657 here on Independence Day. 2 out of 4 last night for Nick. One on, one out, ninth inning. Tigers down 3. Castellanos ground ball left side. Handled there by Longoria for the second out of the inning. Hunter remains at second. Here's the upcoming pitching matchup presented by the Michigan Office of Highway Safety Planning. Chris Archer, Anibal Sanchez tomorrow.
Archer coming off an outstanding month of June. In 6 starts, he had a 1.95 ERA. So he was getting busy. And Anibal Sanchez, one of the best right-handers in all of baseball.
Meanwhile, we'll be broadcasting that game tomorrow night from that spot right there up in the right field balcony.
They got swivel seats up there, too.
They do. They're real comfy.
How about that?
Here's Avila now, the last chance for the Tigers. He looks at a ball high. Avila tonight, couple of ground balls and a flyout. And McGee hits the outside corner. 1 ball, 1 strike. Outside, 2-1. Belfour has 11 saves to lead the Rays. This would be McGee's 4th if he's able to get it. He got 1 more out to get. Here's Belfour. Enjoying a night off.
Belfour, a different kind of cat.
Yes, yes, he is. The 2-1 is swung on and missed.
He's somewhat intense, I would say.
He is, man. Second tour of duty in a Tampa uniform, and he's one of those guys too that Jim Hickey was talking about some of the careers he's resurrected, and he got Balfour back on track.
2-2 on Avila. High, 3-2, and now should Alex reach, you bring the tying run to the plate. Suarez waiting on deck.
He got some pop in his bat now, although he hadn't hit the home run in a while.
3-2. Bouncing ball to short. Zobrist has it there, and the Rays win game 2 in the series. In the 9th inning for the Tigers, a 1-out double. They will leave 1. And Tampa will win game 2 by a final of 6-3. We'll be back with more from Comerica Park on the 4th of July.